Mentally, I feel good. It's probably the best I've felt, honestly. So, really happy with the last 3 weeks, and it's been very positive. It's been a tough road. Retirement, no. I think I've always thought about the consequences of this injury and making sure I'm smart with it, because at the end of the day, that's the last thing I want. But that being said, I think, no, I didn't really give a whole lot of thought to that.
And there's rotational or acceleration forces that cause the brain to move inside the skull. When that occurs in our brain, we have billions of cells called neurons, and when the brain moves inside the skull, the neurons will stretch, and there's certain chemicals that come out of the neuron that shouldn't come out, and there's certain chemicals that go into the neuron that shouldn't go in. And when that occurs, at the end of the day, what a concussion is an energy problem within the brain. The brain is starved for energy, and it's not getting enough supply of energy. We know that brain injury can cause significant symptoms and significant issues. I first saw Sid on January 6th. At the time, I became involved in Sid's care. And when I saw Sid, he was having very consistent symptoms consistent with a significant cerebral concussion. He was foggy. And what that means is that it's almost like your high-definition TV is like a standard-definition TV. It feels like you're one step behind yourself. It feels like you're in slow motion. He had headaches. He had fogginess. He had difficulties with fatigue. He had light sensitivity, noise sensitivity. He had a hard time thinking.
As far as the worst part, I would say that just probably right away. I didn't really like driving, just driving or watching TV. Even having the radio on in the car, I didn't want to listen to the radio. I tried to go to a meeting actually with our team like a month in, and just watching video was something that really felt like it was stressing my system. I had to work so hard just to concentrate on that. Those were kind of the worst parts. I had a couple bad migraines and stuff like that, stuff I hadn't really experienced before.
And we had a different type of approach where we looked at the physicality, and we did specific measurements that allowed us to really make a very good diagnostic impression of what was happening in Sid's brain. Now, you all know that your brain allows you to think and to write and to read, to look at paintings or to perhaps paint them. But one thing that the brain does is it really allows you to know where you are in space and where space is in reference to you. In Sid's case, that was not exactly correct. That is to say, areas of space were not in an appropriate grid to where he would perceive them. It's as if you can imagine something to be in your right, but it's a little bit off of right, and we have different types of reflexes.
From talking to the doctors and dealing with Sid all summer on this is, the 80-90% we hear about, he will not return to play until he's 100%. Here's a player that is, over my 5 years with him, has played at less than 80% with injuries, as many athletes do, but there is no 90% returning from a concussion. So just to be clear when the team's standpoint is here, and Sid is aware of that, and all on the same page, which has been beneficial for all of us through this whole process.
I've yet to hear an absolute, and I recognize that that's part of the problem with these kinds of injuries. But I wonder if, given that, you're willing to say what so many people are thinking because of the stakes involved here and the importance of this kind of injury, which is that there remains a possibility that you will never play in the NHL again.
Mm-hmm. Pretty slight one. I wouldn't bet on that. But I think that, it's a scary thing, and I think it's, we've got to be aware of it. I think even for myself, I've been much more educated over the last 6-7 months here with how serious these are, and I think we continue to educate ourselves, but we can have as much education as we want. If concussions are as prominent as they are now, it doesn't matter how much you know about them, they're going to be a problem. So I think we've got to make steps to help avoid them and not deal with this. But as far as my situation, I'm lucky. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape and on the right end of this right now.
There's a reason that there's a larger-than-life image of Sidney Crosby inside the glass atrium entrance at Consol Energy Center. This building, which opened last year, is widely considered the house Sidney Crosby had built. It's the reason the Penguins are still in Pittsburgh. You can make an argument that Crosby is the reason the Penguins are still in Pittsburgh. He is the captain of this franchise. He is the undisputed best player on the team, if not the world, and certainly he is to the hockey world what Michael Jordan was to the NBA in the 1990s, the big star with an exclamation point. The difference being the hockey world and the Penguins don't have Sidney Crosby right now. And the question that has been on everybody's mind since his last game way back on January 5th is, when will Crosby play hockey again? And what we found out today at a news conference, the first time he's spoken publicly about his concussion since April 29th, is that Crosby isn't close to playing again for the Penguins, which means a loss for hockey fans across the globe. Michael Collins, head of UPMC's Sports Concussion Clinic, said emphatically Crosby is not close to being ready to take contact yet. Though Crosby is making progress in his recovery, it seems highly unlikely, based off the comments today, that he's going to be back for training camp or even the start of the regular season, October 6th, when the Penguins open a Western Canadian swing in Vancouver. So what we know about Crosby is this: he's getting better. What we don't know, and what we might not know for some time, is when Sidney Crosby is going to be able to play hockey again. And until then, Penguin fans are going to continue to hang on every bit of speculation that surfaces regarding their team captain, their favorite player, and the guy who probably has the most impact on whether or not the Penguins, after 2 early playoff exits, will be able to make a run at another Stanley Cup championship. Reporting from Consol Energy Center, where Sidney Crosby gave us an update, if not a significant one, on his status, I'm Penguins beat reporter Rob Rossi for Trib Total Media.